Hello students. Today we are going to start with a new unit, a new lesson. So before we start, let's just have a very short glimpse of what we took before. Now you can see that we had something about teamwork, and there were kinds of stories of success when we mentioned about Marie Curie and her husband and about Garibaldi and his wife. So these were successful stories to prove that teamwork is actually very successful, and you can achieve a lot through teamwork. And we also had some kind of other teamwork, which is the symbiosis relationship that we have between animals, and we had a lot of examples during our unit. Now we are going to also connect between the successful stories that we have in Unit 1. We are going to connect them with Unit 2, but instead of talking about people as a team or as a group, we are going to focus on one person. So we are going to start with our new unit. We are moving on from 2 is better than 1, and we are going to start with Unit 2, which is rags to riches. We have the same parts that, or the lessons that we have in Unit 1. So we are going to start with listen and discuss. Moving on, we have our objectives for the unit. Now we have the beginning, something very new. So just to give you an idea, your objectives are to give the meaning of new vocabulary, which is not new. We have to enumerate the importance of hard work to succeed. This is something that is associated with the first unit. To recall famous figures who had succeeded in changing their lives. Now this part is new. And we have a number 4 to select words and information points which summarize the figures' short biographies. So we have something very different. We have short biographies for more than one figure, and this is what we are going to go or move on to. So let's start. We have the title, which is Rags to Riches, as you can see. Now, just to make sure that we are aware of the whole idea from the start, there are several questions we're going to ask. First, rich is an adjective we know, but what are rags? So rich is a very common word. Some of us may have a little bit or a question about the word rags. What does it mean? And if you are a little bit confused of the meaning, you can see that we have here, these are rags. Here, our question is, what kind of people wear such rags? So the people, as you can see that we have here, this man, what does he look like? Describe, give an adjective. You can give actually more than one adjective, just to describe this man here. You can say that he doesn't look well, he isn't wealthy, he is poor. Okay, so he is sad maybe. So here, there are some words that you can associate, but the basic word here is, we have here the word rags. He is wearing rags, and I'm sure that he will want to do something to change from the rags that he's wearing. Our next question is, have you ever heard of someone whose life had changed from one condition to the other? Now, when I mentioned the man and said that he wants to do something to change his condition or what he is wearing. Now, a lot of people, they change from one condition to another. And by the way, to just appreciate the blessings that we are living in, alhamdulillah, now some people, it can be vice versa. They can be in a very well state and they can go to something less. So this is something just to appreciate the environment and the place that we are living in, and how our situation is better than someone else. Do you know any famous figures? Now, a lot of us, we know famous figures, famous people. But the question here is, talk about a person who went from not having much money to being wealthy. So when I say the title of our unit is from rags to riches, it means that we have someone who didn't have much money and then became rich, became wealthy. And we know that wealthy is a synonym for the word rich. Now, we have here, this is something, just think about it. Now, to relate, think about someone who is famous, a famous figure that you know. And at the same time, this person was a person who didn't have much money and then became wealthy. So this person turned from rags to riches, which is our unit. Now, there are lots of examples. Also, you can think of this question we have here, which is actually in your book, page number 20. What qualities do you think a person needs to excel in life and be successful? Now, you have here the word excel. It's very close to another word that we know. Now, what are the qualities? What do you think a person needs to excel in life? And still, I'm not going to explain the meaning of the words. You are going to discover it. But we know that it means that someone will become, inshallah, successful. So think about it. Just put some points in your mind. What are the things that you think a person needs, qualities, personal qualities within him or herself? But before we start with our discussion and before you start going through the figures that we are going to talk about, when we mention the word excel, actually the word excel is from the words that we have in the vocabulary. Now we have on page number 21, the vocabulary parts. We have the first, of course, we have the word excel as we mentioned. You have also the other word reputation. We have also, try to read this word, we have here impoverished. And we have here prominent. And we have the last word, philanthropist. Yes, we have here the word philanthropist. Now we have here 5 words. I'm going to show you other words that are maybe connected with some of these words. Now let's see, we have here the word poor. We have benefactor. We have also popular. We have the word notable. And we have also excellent. Now, do you remember when we discussed how to learn a word and how you can relate to another word? Now, there are some words from here, which are the new vocabulary that we have. You can associate, or you can just a little bit match with one of, or two, or maybe all of them, of the words that we have here. So some are very clear, and some they need to be studied and thought about. Now, just put in mind that these are the words that we have. So very quickly, I have the word excel. I have the word reputation, impoverished, prominent, and philanthropist. Put them in mind. Now, we are going to start. Read the texts about famous figures that you have on page number 20. Now, what am I going to do with you? I am going to give you one part. I want you to know who is the person, where is the person from, and what kind of industry is he working in. So just take a very main idea about the person, and in the part that I'm going to show you, which is the first part of each figure, try to think what are the things that changed, how he turned from one situation to another. So let's start. What is special about their short biographies? You are going to read here. Now we have here also this table. Now put in mind that these are the things that we are going to fill at the end of the lesson, inshallah. Now we have, first of all, the name, which is going to be very easy. We have the type of industry, as I just told you. We have also the country of citizenship. Where is this person from? We have rags, which is the lower, or the part when he was a little bit, he was poor, or he didn't have much money. And then we have the other part, which is his success or her success, which is the richest part. And we have the reputation. Reputation, I want something that is connected to the person's personality, his character. Do you remember when we talked about characteristics? So the reputation here is something that is connected with the person's characteristics. Moving on. Yes, you can start with the first. You have 30 seconds here So just read who is the person, where is the person from, as I mentioned. Now start with your notes. You can just underline in your book. Now we have here Amancio Ortega. This is our first personality. Now you can see that Amancio Ortega, his industry is retail clothing, and he is from Spain. So we have the country of citizenship, as you have in your book, is from Spain. After that, I want to see what is the basic thing that we know about Amancio here. Now we can start with saying that we have here, he is the founder and the chairman of a company that owns many stores, including the enormously popular international clothing store, Zara. So this is very well known about him. And on the other hand, we can say that Ortega is the son of a railroad worker and had no formal higher education. So he didn't have former higher education. So this is something that we can just put in mind, that he wasn't in a very high state. This is the first character. Let's move on. We have the second. Yes, you can do the same thing. Your seconds are about to end. So, yes. Now we have the second personality. We have here Mohammed Abdulatif Jamil. Now he is, of course, from Saudi Arabia. We know that he is a very famous Saudi figure. His industry is in business in general. Now, things that we can say about Mohammed Abdulatif Jamil, that he is a great philanthropist and a prominent businessman. He is the president of ALJ, runs one of the world's largest car dealerships. He is a leading figure in corporate social responsibility. He has created a series of initiatives against poverty and has contributed greatly to the government's Saudiization program in the kingdom. Now, these are points that we can say about Mohammed Abdulatif Jamil. Moving on. We have the third figure that we are going to pass by. Now, his name is unusual here. So don't forget to see the industry and the country of citizenship, and time's up. So this time we have Li Kashing. Li Kashing is also in business, and he is actually from China. Now, what is so special about Li Kashing? He used he made a company, and Li used to assemble plastic flowers. So he's very famous to create or to start the business of plastic flowers. And something else to know about him, that he was born into an impoverished family, forcing Li to leave high school so that he could work to support his family. So which means that he wasn't very rich at the start. We have here, he left actually school to support his family. And we are going to see our last figure that you have here. Now, this figure is a well-known figure. He is very famous for something that he had done and is now actually known worldwide. Okay, and time's up. So we have the fourth and the last personality is Stephen Paul Jobs. Now, Stephen Paul Jobs, we can see that there is a date because he is actually, he passed. So we have here he lived from, or he was born in 1955 to 2011. His industry is well known to be the computer design industry, and of course the country of citizenship is the US. And here we can say that he is the co-founder or co-founded Apple, and also he proceeded to develop and market the first successful lines of personal computers. Also, something very interesting to know, that he was adopted into a working class family, and he dropped out of college because he could not afford to pay his tuition. Now, mainly, we have a general look at these four personalities. We have passed by, we have Amancio Ortega at the beginning, we have here Mohammed Abdulatif Jamil, Lee Kashing, and Steve Jobs. You have an idea, and as I showed you, that there is a kind of chart that we are going to fill. So this time, you're going to get a little bit help. We are going to listen this time. You are going to listen carefully, and you will complete the graph that we started with the information. So just to remind you that we have here, this is the graph. Now you know the name, you know the type of industry and the country of citizenship. We also passed by some of the parts in rags and riches, and we have the most important thing that you are going to focus on now is the person's reputation. And just to remind you, I have something very small here. It is the same chart that you are going to see in front of you in each slide, just to make sure that you have everything in front of you. So we're going to start. We have here the first person, and just put in mind that we have here the questions that you have in the book, page number 21. Now, in your book, we have here the comprehension questions. We are going to answer these questions on the way. And also, I have the questions prepared for you, so it would be easier for you to answer. Also, you can have your books open and just read the questions. Now we're going to start. We have the first personality. Okay, ready?
Amancio Ortega is the founder and chairman of a company that owns many stores, including the enormously popular international clothing store, Zara. Now Spain's richest man, Ortega is the son of a railroad worker, and had no formal higher education. When Ortega was 13, he worked as a delivery boy for a shirt maker and later became the manager of a clothing store.
Okay, so we have here the basic parts that we have about Amancio Ortega. We are going to complete here.
He began making clothing in his living room and selling it to local stores. Ortega had an ability to predict what styles were going to be popular and to create these styles with inexpensive materials. In 1975, Ortega opened his first Zara store. Zara gained a reputation for selling designer fashions at reasonable prices. Today, Ortega's company has more than 4,000 stores in 71 countries.
So we have here, this is the first personality that we have. Now, just to pass by the question, we have here the question, why? Why is Zara successful? Now, you can see from the part that we have here, why is Zara successful? We have the answer. Zara gained a reputation for selling designer fashions at reasonable prices. Now, I helped you with the first one. The rest, I'm going to give you a little bit time just to look for the answers yourself. But now you can see that we have the question and we have the answer is going to be in the part that we have. So we are going to see the basic chart that we have about Amancio Ortega. Now we can see, of course, his name, Amancio Ortega, the type of industry, as we have in the book, retail clothing. We have the country of citizenship, which is Spain. Now the rags part, as we mentioned before, we said that he worked as a delivery boy, and then he turned into a manager, and then we had making clothing. So he turned into something that was about retail shopping, about industry, and how he formed his first store, which is Zara. So it's something natural that we have here. His past was something that was connected to clothing. Then we have the richest part. He opened his first store, more than 4,000 stores after that. And we have here, he became well known internationally. Now, something about his reputation, we can say that he had the ability to predict styles. And that's why Zara was a very successful store when he first started the business. And something else, he sells designer fashions at reasonable prices, and this made him a very famous and a wealthy man. Now, this is the first example that we have. We are going to move with the other one, the other personality that we had. The second was Muhammad Abdul Latif Jamil. So now you know what are the basics that we are concentrating on. You can also focus.
A great philanthropist and prominent businessman, Muhammad Abdul Latif Jamil, president of ALJ, runs one of the world's largest car dealerships, with operations in the Middle East, UK, Central Asia and China. A leading figure in corporate social responsibility, he has created a series of initiatives against poverty and has contributed greatly to the government's Saudization program in the kingdom, by promoting thousands of jobs every year through the ALJ community services programs.
So we have here, this is the second figure that we can see, and there is something unusual. I don't know if you have noticed yet or not. Now, we have the question, how has Abdul Latif Jamil or Muhammad Abdul Latif Jamil contributed to the Saudization program in Saudi Arabia? Now you can just look for it here, the vocabulary. We have Saudization program, we have something in Saudi Arabia, and the most important thing is how did he contribute? So we can see here from has contributed, we're going to start greatly to the government Saudization program in the kingdom by promoting thousands of jobs every year through the ALJ community services program. So this is something very famous and well known about Muhammad Abdul Latif Jamil and of course Abdul Latif Jamil Group in general, that they help people find jobs. Moving on to the second part.
Abdul Latif Jamil is an MIT alumnus, member of the Board of Trustees and dedicated supporter of the Abdul Latif Jamil Poverty Action Lab, JPAL. He has been named Saudi Volunteer of the Year for 2012, in recognition of the services offered by LISI in Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Arab world.
Yes. Now we have here a question, also mentioned in the book from the Comprehension Questions. We have here, why was Abdul Latif Jamil named Saudi Volunteer of the Year? Now you've got the idea now, so we are going to just look together and you can see actually that we have here Saudi Volunteer of the Year. He has been named Saudi Volunteer of the Year for 2012 in recognition, so why? In recognition of the services offered by the ALJCI in Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Arab world. Now something very unusual about Muhammad Abdul Latif Jamil here, that mashallah there is no rags part. So there wasn't something mentioned that he used to be a poor man and then he became rich. So actually we have here the basic parts about Muhammad Abdul Latif Jamil here is of course his name, the type of industry is business, and the country of citizenship is of course Saudi Arabia. We have the richest part, and the things that he had accomplished is created a series of initiatives against poverty, contributed to the government's program, and also we have here promoted thousands of jobs every year. Now what is well known about, we have here his reputation, that he is a philanthropist, he is also a prominent businessman, and at the same time we can say that he is a leading figure. So this is what we have about his reputation, and I'm sure now that you know what the meaning of reputation is. Moving on to our third character, we have here Kashing. Now you have an idea about him now, so we're going to complete.
Li was born into an impoverished family in China in 1928. When he was 15, his father died, forcing Li to leave high school so that he could work to support his family. He took a job in a plastics company, where he would work 16 hours a day. At this company, Li used to assemble plastic flowers.
So some of the information that we have here, we passed by it already. So just to make sure that we have everything, we have the comprehension question in the book. What challenges did Kashing face early in life? This is something that we did mention. Now we said that he was born into an impoverished family in China in 1928. He was 15 when his father died, and this forced Li to leave high school so he can, as we said, support his family. He took a job in plastics company where he would work 16 hours a day. So just imagine that he has his job. His job needs 16 hours of work every day. Now we have here, this is something very important to know about the businessman here. We are going to complete.
By 1950, Lee had started his own plastics manufacturing company. His company prospered, which led Lee to expand his business into many different fields. However, his successes are not all monetary. Lee Kashing has a reputation for being honest and generous. In fact, he is one of Asia's most prominent philanthropists, and has announced plans to donate 1/3 of his wealth to charity.
So this is something very important to know about this businessman. Now we have here the chart, his name, Lee Kashing, the type of industry, business as we've said. We have here, he is from China. The rags part, as we mentioned, we say that he left school to support his family, and he found the job which took 16 hours a day in a plastics company. Now the richest part here, that he started his own company, and we have here at the same time the company prospered and business expanded. The reputation which we had in the second part of the paragraph, we have here, he was honest, he was also generous, and also he was a prominent, or he is actually a prominent philanthropist. Yes, now we have here, this is Lee Kashing as we have. Now we have one personality left, or the figure we have here is Stephen Paul Jobs. Now here, Stephen Paul Jobs is actually your work. You are going to do the complete search as homework. Now you know what the chart is and what are the questions that we are going to just pass by. And actually we have here two parts that are left from the comprehension questions that we didn't answer. Now you have your answer, the question number 5, and also you need to answer question number 6, which are related to Stephen Paul Jobs. Now this is going to be your assignment to complete. And just to go back to the figures in general, just revise and think about other figures that you know that are very well known to be people that moved on from rags to riches. And also put in mind that we are going to go back to our vocabulary that we showed in the beginning. Now you have passed by them in the reading part, and we will go back to them again. And also we have in the book, page number 21, we have the exercise that is to fill in the blanks with the correct word. Of course, the words that are related to the vocabulary check. Now our lesson is about to end. Just to remember, hope, faith, work, and have a positive attitude is something very important to rise or to change from one state to another. At the end of our lesson, we first defined vocabulary in general. We discussed the ability to succeed and to think about the qualities that a person must have. And then after that, we recalled famous figures and read short biographies about them. After that, we searched for facts which were after the listening part, and we summarized in our chart, the chart that we will inshallah complete with our fourth figure, Stephen Paul Jobs. So until we get to the lesson that we have here, you have your tasks. Keep up the good work, and we'll complete inshallah soon.